make plans with other people and at the last second they get cancelled, you're left disappointed, dejected, with all your makeup on and your fancy frock, with nowhere to go because everyone's let you down. Yeah, I never get invited to things in the first place either, but I do sometimes miss out on exciting moments that I'd like to take part in. Usually it's television shows and movies that are announced for release and then never make it to air, or in the case of today's top 5 video, it's the top 5 cancelled video games. There are so many different reasons that a video game might not make it to release. Sometimes it's a disagreement between the creative team and the production house, sometimes it's a lack of funds to produce the game with, and sometimes the prototypes of the game just haven't met expectations. Those are just some of the myriad of reasons that video games get cut, cancelled, and pushed back onto the burner. But today we're going to have a look at 5 of them. Number 5, WWE Titans, Parts Unknown. Yeah, I know Sam snuck a wrestling thing into top 5 lists again, sue me, but I promise you this one is interesting. And it's only at number 5, so don't give me too much grief. Typically, WWE likes to play it pretty safe with their video games, going for a sort of sports sim style of gameplay. I understand in the last 10 years Triple H has been an undead zombie and Paul Bearer was vaporized by the Undertaker's lightning, but in 2004 THQ wanted to take it to even weirder places, taking it to Parts Unknown. Given the existing pre-production illustrations made for the game, as well as Next Level Games' previous foray into fighting contests, we can have expected that the WWE Titan series would have seen WWE superstars made into hyper-cartoonist versions of themselves. Sadly, we can only dream of the day that Goblinized Rey Mysterio gets to fly around the destructible environments of a snowy European castle. If Goblinized is even a word. Number 4. Tom Clancy's Rainbow Six Patriots. I'm rather surprised by Lewis' suggestion of this game in particular because we know what came out of it, and the R-CADE crew love to play Rainbow Six Siege. If you want to join us, just go to the R-CADE Glasgow Discord and turn on notifications for anyone talking about Siege. What would eventually become the team-based shooter with the long lifespan that is Rainbow Six Siege, Rainbow Six Patriots would have seen the counterintelligence force taking on a New York-based militia. The name of this militia, the Patriots, are focused on avenging the victims of Wall Street's worst criminals and their misdemeanors. Sadly, the only conflict that would occur would be behind the scenes of development. Just 5 months after the November 2011 announcement of the game, the creative director, narrative director, animations director, and lead designer were all removed from the project. A year after that, pre-orders from websites like GameStop were pulled from access, and a year after that, the game was scrapped entirely in favour of the Rainbow Six Siege that we enjoy today. If you want to see a top 5 Rainbow Six Siege operators, just let us know in the comments down below. The eventual cancellation of the project came in 2014 when Ubisoft believed that they'd sunk too many assets into the production of the game that was already way behind on where it needed to be for the Generation 8 console release, instead looking to focus on the next set of console releases. This was despite the fact that even a couple of months after the November 2011 announcement, the creative director for the whole of the Rainbow Six series mentioned that they were already made aware of the change in console generation to come, and could have easily made all adjustments necessary before that 2014 cancellation, had it been pressed upon them the importance of doing so. That being said, Alexander Remy stated that they were too far into the development cycle to swerve into that next generation of consoles. Number 3, Gotham by Gaslight. I'm sure a lot of people were disappointed in the Assassin's Creed Syndicate Jack the Ripper DLC for one key reason: you didn't get to play as Batman. Gotham by Gaslight is one of the earliest examples of DC's Elseworld series, a series of comic books which takes their original IP characters and transports them to unusual destinations, times and scenarios. In this tale of daring do, Bruce Wayne and Batman instead exist in Victorian-era United States. And wouldn't you know it, Jack the Ripper has moved from Old Blighty over to Gotham City. Bruce Wayne is still indeed Batman, but it's in 1889. We're still met with the usual cast of characters, including the Joker and Commissioner Gordon, but this time Batman must face his hardest challenge yet, the criminal justice system. Having been framed for murder by the newest resident to Gotham, Jack the Ripper, Bruce Wayne must use all of his detective abilities while holed up in Arkham Asylum to uncover the true identity of the killer. A video game based on the events of the comic was storyboarded by Day One Studios, except instead of being set in Gotham, it would instead be Batman on Jack the Ripper's turf, Victorian-era London. Unfortunately for Day One Studios, publication partner THQ failed to get the publication rights to the story, and thus the project lies dormant. If you need your steampunk Batsy fix, you can grab a Gotham by Gaslight version of Batman in the DC Infinite Crisis MOBA. Number 2, Silent Hills. After expressing that his production house's new Fox engine could be used to develop a Silent Hill style game, acclaimed video game director Hideo Kojima was asked to create the 9th installment for the series in 2012. Despite highlighting his own trepidation when it comes to playing spooky games, Hideo did point out this: there's a certain type of horror that only people who are scared of can create. Hollywood director Guillermo del Toro and The Walking Dead star Norman Reedus were also attached to the project. Keep that in mind for later. A demo version of the game entitled PT became available on the PlayStation Store in 2014 and immediately got Buzz and Game of the Year nominations just as the playable demo. This demo received rave reviews that included the likes of finding solutions by way of hearsay, internet whispers and desperate rumoured logic. It has become its own urban myth, while the puzzles were described as emotionally uncomfortable. Kojima and Konami were also working on the final game in his Metal Gear Solid franchise, Metal Gear Solid: The Phantom Pain. At the same time, Konami announced they were going to be restructuring some of their management positions, and during that announcement did not acknowledge Kojima's position as executive content manager. Konami also quietly removed any mention of Kojima or his company logos from any entries regarding the Metal Gear Solid franchise on their website. Ultimately, Kojima and his fellow higher-ups were all ousted from the company he had worked at for 3 decades just after the release of The Phantom Pain, which he had stayed on to help complete. Unfortunately, he was not kept on to develop more of PT, which would have developed into the game Silent Hills. Well, at least we got Death Stranding, still featuring Norman Reedus and Guillermo del Toro, right? Right? Still haven't played it. Number 1, Star Wars Battlefront 3. The first 2 entries into the Star Wars Battlefront series were solely produced by LucasArts. This third version was going to be a collaborative effort between themselves and Free Radical Designs. The game began production in 2006 and was ultimately cancelled in 2008. Sadly, it seems we will never see an eventual release of this game, as the rights to all Star Wars content, including video game production, lies in the hands of Disney, and they have since produced 2 ill-received versions of the game through EA. Star Wars Battlefront 2 had been a very popular game amongst the PlayStation 2 faithful, and the third iteration of the series was going to feature seamless transition from the popular ground battles into the popular space conflicts. With delays in production facilitated by a change of console generation, which we've already discussed is a major dampener to developing games when it came to Rainbow Six Patriots, as well as problems with coding and a lot of new requests being made last minute by the LucasArts team, the game was eventually shelved in 2008. Originally, LucasArts were happy to fund Free Radical Designs for a further 7 months of development post-production deadline, but following management restructuring at LucasArts, as well as disputes over how much of the game had actually been completed versus how much money had been paid from both sides, the game was eventually canned, and along with it, the contract for a follow-up 4th Star Wars Battlefront game that had already been signed. Later, Free Radical Designs execs would announce that 99% of the game had been completed before the plug was pulled, whereas a former LucasArts employee would give it a generous 75%. Leaked gameplay is available online for Star Wars Battlefront 3 as produced by Free Radical Designs and LucasArts Entertainment, some of which has been used in this video. I highly recommend you check out everything that happened with LucasArts and Free Radical Designs, as well as what you could have expected from Star Wars Battlefront 3. And shake your hand at what we got from EA. I've been Sam from R-CADE Glasgow, and if you want the rest of this top 5 video, that'll cost you 10,000 credits. I'm kidding, we're not EA. But if you want to get a bit more content from us, including gameplays made by myself and the rest of the R-CADE staff, you can catch all of that by subscribing to the R-CADE Glasgow Patreon, supporting us, supporting the work that we do, and supporting our lovely shop in Glasgow, Scotland. If you want to catch up with any of the R-CADE staff on the regular, you can jump on Twitter, Instagram or Facebook and find us at R-CADE Glasgow. Or if you want to join our special little corner of the internet and our community, you can join the R-CADE Glasgow Discord to chat all the games that we wish would come out. Have a great day.